The live counter is not working, so we'll just leave it off for today. See if it works tomorrow. And today, sorry, low energy intro. I'm kind of tired today. I was telling you guys live, we're recording already. I've been doom scrolling for an hour, wasting away, so I figured I'd just go live. And we're gonna read for like an hour or so, and we'll see how it goes. I'm gonna kind of just chill back for a little bit. I'd be on this scene, right? But no, we'll be on the regular full one. So if you like what you are going to see, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share the video. And if you guys ever want to do a little bit more than just that, you can be a member for $1. That being said, let's find out more about the fucking soul serpent and what's going on with his essence and what has he been putting off since waking up. I'm gonna have this a little bit more back and hope and pray to the forsaken dead gods of Shadow Slave that it doesn't keep spiking. Chapter 360 is called Broken. In a heavily guarded underground room, a young woman with silver hair was sleeping in a transparent machine that kept her body alive. Her face was pale and thin, painted by a ghostly glow of machine lights and deep, angular shadows. The room was peaceful and silent. The hum of machinery created a low background noise. From time to time, a piece of medical equipment produced a sound and grew quiet again. A blind girl with piercing blue eyes stood quietly near the sleeping pod, an empty expression written in the delicate lines of her beautiful face. If it wasn't for the fact that her hand rested on the hilt of an elegant rapier, a person would easily mistake her for one of the hollows that were cared for in another level of hospital complex. Oh, hollows are being I wonder if Sunny ever runs into I wonder if Sunny's ever going to run into Neffa's mom, even though she's like a hollow. And he's like, he says, I'm sorry, but like, you know, she's not there. That'd be a pretty crazy encounter. For one of the hollows that were cared for on another level of the hospital complex, the door of the room did not open. However, there was suddenly another presence inside. A young man, oh shit, he's here. A young man with pale skin and dark, cruel eyes appeared out of the shadows and walked over to stand on the opposite side of the sleeping pod. His steps were soft and quiet. No fucking way he's here, dude. He lingered for a while, then looked down at the young woman sleeping beneath the glass lid of the mechanical coffin. For a second, his face became contorted by a terrible grimace. Grief, anger, fear, and longed mixed in his eyes, then disappeared, hidden behind a mask of cold indifference. Sunny stared at Nefis for a long time, trying to get his emotions under control. He knew that, and I think stream just crashed, so I do apologize for that, or it's going to crash. It will reconnect. Give it like 30 seconds. Sunny stared at Nefis for a long time, trying to get his emotions under control. He knew that seeing her like this, weak and helpless, would affect him, but he didn't know just how much it was going to hurt him. He also had not anticipated how dark the thoughts of entering his mind would be. I can kill her right now. One strike of the moonlight shard and I'll be free again, but no, he couldn't. Firstly, because there was no guarantee that Nefis would die, and if her body was destroyed, just like how there were hollows, people whose souls had been destroyed while leaving an empty body behind, that were lost. Oh, so are we presuming? Wow, hold up. Radon music is playing. Oh, so is Sunny under the assumption that if you kill a person when you're still in the dream realm, their soul is still lingering in the dream realm and like you can still run into them, but because her soul isn't dead, there's still a chance that she's a master? That is a good observation. People whose bodies in real world had died, leaving their souls wandering the dream realm. He suspected that this was the reason why the people who wanted change things are dead has sent Castor to kill her in the dream realm instead of infiltrating the academy. That makes so much more sense. And secondly, maybe more importantly, he simply could not bring himself to harm Nefis, not again, not anymore, and no, not like this. Cassie on oh, shit, dude. It's mostly technicality. Cassie, on the other hand. Oh, I skipped like 2 lines and it says, hello, Sunny. With a dark grimace, Sunny slowly moved his gaze to the blind girl. As if noticing it, she turned slightly and said, hello, Sunny. He stared at her, his eyes burning with fury. What, you can see now? Cassie lingered for a moment, then shook her head. No, but something like that. A wild grin appeared on his face. Congratulations, really good for you. You won't be useless anymore, at least. He knew that his words were going to hurt her. Oh my god, dude, I can't be mean to her. Why? He knew that his words were going to hurt her and was glad to say them for that reason. The blind girl didn't react and just continued staring into the emptiness, her eyes cold and distant, but he wasn't fooled. He knew her well enough to recognize the ocean of pain hidden behind that coldness. Good, suffer, you deserve this. Sunny opened his mouth, wishing to accuse her, but then forced himself to stop. He had to keep himself under control. Swallowing his angry words, Sunny gritted his teeth and spat. How did you even know? Cassie hesitated for a bit, then answered quietly. When you killed the spy from the castle, you said it out loud then. I saw it in a vision. Oh, she fucking knew since then? Since he killed him? After that, the rest was not impossible to figure out. His eyes widened. Sunny remained silent for a long time, trying to deal with the shock that her words had caused him. Harper, when I killed Harper, the memory of that horrible day set a shudder through his soul. He remembered it so vividly, the blood streaming down his hands as if he held the pitiful young man down, murdering him, giving it to the agony of the flaw, and whispering in a hoarse, barely audible voice, lost from night, I am lost, lost from night. Standing in the underground room, the hospital complex, Sunny wanted to both laugh and cry. So this is it. This is what did me in. One mistake. I only made one mistake, and it was all it took to undo me. It was almost as if Harper had managed to avenge himself from beyond the grave. Well, he never got in the grave. Really, Sunny just jumped his body into ruins from the nightmare creatures to feast on. That is fucked up. A lot of good it did for him. In the end, piercing the blind girl with a burning look, he said through gritted teeth, so that was why you were waiting for me back then, why you gave me the eternal spring. You were ready to say goodbye. You knew. Cassie slowly, wow. This is such good dialogue, bro. Cassie slowly faced him, then said in a steady, even tone, yes, I did. Then he looked down, clenching his fist. You knew. If you knew, then why didn't you try to change anything? Why curse you? Cassie stared at him, her calm expression finally collapsing. Pain, sorrow, and anger contorted her face, and with a voice so hurt that it almost sounded as if she was bleeding, she answered, didn't try? Of course I tried. I tried everything I could to make the future I saw change, but no matter how much I tried, it never did. It always remained the same. Even worse, my attempts only made it appear even more inevitable. Oh, so if she tries to fuck with fate, it's just more likely to happen? Turning away, she gritted her teeth and remained silent for a while, her hands trembled. I was the first one to understand what my vision of the Crimson Spire meant, shadows devouring a dying angel. I understood it on that very day. On the very day? Day one? Cassie closed her eyes for a moment, then spoke again, her voice quiet. Don't you remember? I asked you to promise to always protect her. And what did you say? Sunny stared at her, remembering, yes, at the very start that there had been a conversation like that. No. I said no. A fragile smile appeared on Cassie's face. Yes, you said no. And on that day, I knew that I had to make a choice, and I made it. Wow! What the fuck, bro? Day one, she made her... Are you fucking kidding me? Day one, she fucking chose Neff? What? From the very fucking first encounter on the Forgotten Shore. Yes, you said no, and on that day, I knew that I had to make a choice, and I made it. I chose Neff. She shivered and hugged herself as if dying of cold. I had to betray one of my best friends to save the other. You see, that's the thing. This is so fucked up. But she still considers Sunny like a best friend, bro. It's like, I'm telling you, it's like me and COI. I don't know if Cammie's still here. You know, it's hard for me to choose me, you know? It's like, I have to choose one of my best friends, you know? Shit, is that a bad analogy? No, that's a pretty good analogy. I had to betray one of my best friends to save the other, and I did. I chose to sacrifice you to save Neff. Of course, I fooled myself for a while, telling myself that nothing bad would happen. That if I helped Neff, maybe both of you would survive. But deep down, I knew that it was just one of the possible outcomes. So what was the difference? I betrayed you, and you know what? A small bitter laugh escaped from... A small bitter laugh escaped from her lips. It was for nothing. I betrayed my best friend, and nothing still changed. I sacrificed you, but couldn't save anyone. Despite it all, I couldn't change fate. Sunny stared at her for a while, then snarled. That's it? That's your speech? That's what you have to say for yourself? What do you want me to do? Pity you? A furious gleam appeared in his eyes. After everything I have done for you, after I saved your life countless times, took care of you as if you were my sister, this is how you chose to repay me, by giving my biggest secret to Neff, so that she could use it against me when the time came. Cassie remained silent, not saying anything. Wow, dude. This is so fucked up. No wonder you guys wanted me to read this the other day. Do you even know what you've done? Do you even know what you've taken from me? She hesitated for a bit, then answered quietly. I didn't know why or how my vision would come true. I only knew that it would happen in the Spire. So I gave your secret to Nev, hoping that she would survive thanks to it. Sunny laughed and grew quiet. An oppressive silence settled between them and remained unbroken for several minutes. After a while, he finally said, I can understand, rationally I do. You were forced to make a terrible decision, with both choices being a betrayal. And you chose to help Nev, who was with you first, who saved you when I would have just left you to die. But then a cold gleam appeared in his eyes. But that doesn't mean that I can forgive you. You go to hell. No, take that back, dude. You go to hell, Cassie. Go to hell and die there for all I care. I hope that, like, I will know. Dude, this, I can't. I can't read this, bro. This is so fucking heartbreaking, dude. What the fuck, bro? Go to hell and die there for all I care. I hope that I will never see you again. With that, Sunny turned around to leave, but then stopped. He couldn't help but be cruel to her one last time. He could... She's stuck there because you fucking told her is what he's gonna say, huh? He couldn't help but be cruel to her one last time. Oh, and that secret, it was the reason why she got stuck there all alone. So in a sense, you have doomed both of your friends. As he spoke those words, Cassie flinched. A satisfied, vindictive smile appeared on Sunny's face. But why did it hurt him so much to say those words? So congratulations, you've made it back, Cassie. Go back home, spend time with your family. Didn't you tell me that your mother makes you the best eggs? Eat your fill, try to join them, knowing what you did. As a... Oh, this is so heartbreaking, dude. What the fuck? As the blind girl paled and turned away with a broken expression on his face, he smiled bitterly and dissolved into the shadows. Bonds of friendship were such a fragile thing. They were so hard to create, but so easy to break. All it took was a moment. Dude, I can't read this shit anymore. What the fuck? That was such a valid crash out, bro. Reasonable crash out. Dude, both of them. It's like, I feel like everyone's had those moments in life, man. Everybody's had those moments where you just say something cruel that you just wish you didn't say. And it's like, you can't take it back. Fuck, man. Shit. That hurt. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I not update it? Oh, yeah, 360. That fucking hurt to read, bro. Would I be able to forgive her? Or even trust her after something like that? I don't know, man. Chapter 361 is called The Goal. Sitting with his back against the door in his room, Sunny stared ahead, his heart empty. He had lived for most of his life alone. 1 year ago, he had entered the dream realm alone, and now he was alone once again. Oh, Sunny does not regret his crash out? No, he meant every word. I mean, it probably hurt him saying it, but yeah, he meant it. But not having something was very different from losing it. Now that he knew how precious true friendship and affection were, existing without them felt like torture. It felt like there was a bleeding wound on his soul, left there after he had so cruelly severed the tether connection connecting him to Cassie. Of the very few people he cared for in this world, hurting her felt good and justified, but instead of relief, it only brought him more pain. Nevertheless, he did not regret what he had done. Sometimes one had to endure suffering. Sometimes pain was necessary. Now Sunny was completely alone, so was Cassie. And somewhere in the dream realm, Nephis was alone too. The three of them had done the impossible, but paid a heavy price for it. What a fiasco! Who would have thought that one day he would not only escape the Forgotten Shore, but also become vastly more powerful than he had ever dreamed of, only to sit on the floor in the dark room feeling miserable. With a resentful grimace, Sunny shook his head and sighed. Enough of wallowing in self-pity. He had a lot of things to do, a lot of plans to make. The horrors of the Forgotten Shore were now behind him, but new threats already loomed in the distance. Fuck, we're jumping straight into it, huh? Firstly, he was now at the mercy of another person, despite the fact that his master was lost in another world with very low chances of ever making it back. Sunny felt that they were fated to meet again. I hope it's sooner rather than later. He didn't know how to feel about that, or rather, he both desperately longed for Nephis to return and wished that she died. His emotions for her were intense, overwhelming, and absolute mass. Despite all that, Sunny didn't think that she would die. Somehow, he was sure that Nephis would not perish in the dream realm and eventually make it back. Maybe in a few months, maybe in a few years, but she would achieve the impossible once again and return to the real world. The question was how would she travel to the human territory through the Hollow Mountains or head in another direction? My money is on the Hollow Mountains. My money is she goes back that same way. She's gonna continue through the Hollow Mountains or head in another direction. They didn't know much about what surrounded Forgotten Shore from the east, west, and north. He doubted that those places were better than those horrifying misty mountains. Through that doubt was bashed on one simple fact: there was no information about them, which meant that no human had ever returned from those regions of the dream realm to tell the tale. You know what, dude? I don't want to look at a map, but I want to create my own map. That's what I want to do. I want to create my own map, and I'm gonna have Forgotten Shore at the center, and then from there we like. I'm gonna make my shit up as we go and see how accurate I can make it. Although deadly Hollow Mountains were at least known to mankind, chances were that Changing Star would choose to try her luck there instead of venturing into the unknown. Noting nothing was more dangerous than that you knew nothing about it after all. Unknown, sunny frown. Oh, unknown, sunny frown. That was another problem he had to face, or rather an opportunity he would potentially be able to exploit. Due to his fated attribute, Sunny had stumbled onto the legacy of a creature named Weaver and got a glimpse into the secrets of gods. What he saw there left him both terrified and breathless. There's a boundless mystery hidden in the ruins, that land of dreams and nightmares. A tapestry that connected the dead gods, the unknown, the daemons, and the nightmare spell all together. The former rulers of the dream realm were gone. So the former rulers of the dream realm involve dead gods, whatever's the unknown, daemons, and then what the fuck is the nightmare spell, bro? That's insane. The former rulers of the dream realm were gone, but the spell remained, and humanity, including Sunny himself, had now become unwillingly part of the tapestry through it. Sunny's most ardent desire was to control his own fate, and he couldn't achieve it without knowledge. Now that he knew what to look for, he had deepened his understanding of the fate of the gods and the origins of the spell. Who knew maybe that there were the keys to his freedom were hidden? And then there were the sovereigns. His face grew dark. Sovereigns are the ones that are pulling all the strings in the shadows. His face grew dark. Honestly, why is everything so complicated? Why couldn't he just open a memory store, become wealthy and fat, and live peacefully ever after? You know why? Because the one that opened up a memory store, became wealthy and fat, died in the Crimson Spire. That's why. We need to level up. That was his plan all along. However, the recent revelations made Sunny doubt the validity of such plans. Judging what Casser had said, there were some figures hiding in the shadows, ruling over the human world, and not only were they there, but Sunny was also apparently unwillingly doing their bidding. He still remembered the warning Nephis had given him once. She told him that there were words that could get him killed simply if he learned of their existence. Well, now he knew a lot of those words. Sovereigns, domains, lineage, memories. What he was going to pretend to know nothing and hope that those powerful beings would not turn their gaze to him one day, or was he going to do something to prepare for that the day they do? Future boss fights? Did he even have a chance, knowing what he did, with his fate hopelessly entangled with the dad of Changing Star, who was embroiled in the clandestine machinations just by virtue of her death, of her birth? So bothersome. What was he supposed to do? What was the plan of action? Sunny sighed. Ellie, is that you outside? You want to come inside? Ellie? Nope, she walked away. Well, it was simple really. Learn as much as you can about the sovereigns, but in a way that would never lead them back to him. Explore the past of the dream realm. What's up, Alma? Explore the past of the dream realm, something which is possible and relatable. Explore the past of the dream realm to gain insight into the daemons, the gods, and the unknown, but first and foremost, grow stronger, much stronger. When Nephis returned, he had to be ready for the worst. Sunny didn't really think that Changing Star, he knew, would abuse her power over him. And in fact, he was almost sure that she wouldn't, not only because of the bond between them, but also because in Nephis's warped mind, doing so would simply be beneath her. Really? Yeah, that is true, yeah. However, he wasn't going to let this sweet hope prevent him from creating contingencies. If she ever decided to truly make him a slave, one of them was going to die. I hope that doesn't happen. Standing up, Sunny walked over to the desk and wrote on a piece of synthetic paper 10 out of 2000. Then he summoned the runes, glanced at them, and added a second string of numbers, 2749 out of 3000. However, the runes shimmered and changed before he was done. Did it changed? So she's alive, leveling up, right? However, the runes shimmering and changed before he was done writing, the numbers of soul essence grew bigger. Sunny stared at the runes for a few seconds, then corrected the number. Then he put the pen down and looked at the piece of paper in front of him. 0 to 2000 is less than 2,773 out of 3,000. All right, so this was it. This was the plan. From now on, this was his life's goal. So his life goal is to always be ahead of her. Dude, that is so fucking crazy, dude. It's insane. Chapter 362. It's like, it's insane knowing that she's alive leveling up, bro. After last stream, I can't blame him. Yeah. Well, hello to our new mod. Thy welcome to the stream. Chapter 362 is called Breakfast Invitation. The initial series of tests, the interviews with the government specialist, the somber conversation with Cassie. Somber conversation? Still can't believe he finished Volume 2. Of course I was gonna finish. It took a year, but we did it. It took us just as long as he was in the dream realm, but we finished it. The initial series of I'll be honest, hold up. I feel more attached now knowing that it took me a year to finish reading the Forgotten Shore arc when that's literally how long they spent in there. The initial series of tests, the interviews Cassie took in the hour Sunny had spent lost my place. Somber conversation with Cassie. And the hour Sunny had spent pondering about his past, present, and future took almost an entire day. A new dawn was already bathing the world in a soft sunlight, which Sunny knew because of one of the walls in his underground room was made into a false window, with a vista of one of the parks in the academy being projected onto it from a remote camera. He was experiencing mild mental fatigue, but was not sleepy at all, at least not yet. Truly, the physique of an awakened was much more resilient than that of a mundane human. There were still a few things he had to do, and all the turmoil the past 24 hours, he had not gotten a chance to take a proper look at his memories. For example, Sunny was about to summon the runes when suddenly there was a knock on his door. He flinched. What can it be? For a moment, a mental picture of Effie and Kai appeared in his mind. Is it them? But then he dismissed it. The two of them must have been as busy as their awakening as he was. What is this cough, man? Much more, most likely, considering that he probably had friends and families to deal with, too. On top of everything else, with them being in different facilities, coming to the academy just to pay him a visit was not likely a scenario. Certainly not that soon. Hiding one of the shadows of his body to appear like a normal person, Sunny walked to the door and opened it. Standing there was a striking, confident woman in her late 20s. Mommy Jet? Is Jet back? Mommy back, right? I'm sorry. I did not mean to do that face. Scratch that. Don't clip that. That wasn't what I was trying to make. Sorry, I was trying to make a different face. Striking, confident woman in her late 20s. Immediately, it seemed as though the temperature inside of the room dropped by a couple of degrees. New emote? No, please, that is not a new emote. She had... Please don't post it. Clip that. You know what? Okay, you can post it in Discord and we can see how Kirsten looks. But I already know it's Mama Jet. Talk to me, baby. She's back. Wow. Standing there was a striking, confident woman in her late 20s. Immediately, it seemed as though the temperature inside of the room dropped by a couple of degrees. She had a short, raven black hair and icy blue eyes. Her flawless skin was smooth, supple, as white as snow. The woman was dressed in a dark blue uniform with silver epaulets and black leather boots. God damn it. It's been like 300 chapters, bro. But she's back. And black leather boots. The jacket of the uniform was casually unbuttoned, revealing a tank top that was currently drawn taut against her full crap. What are you staring at, awakened Sunless? Sunny looked up with wide eyes. Master Jet, I was just appreciating your fashion sense. Indeed, it was Soul Reaper Jet, the Ascended who worked for the government and had welcomed him back to the real world. Oh, for a second, I thought they were the same rank. No, she is an Ascended and he is awakened. Got it. The Ascended who worked for the government and had to welcome him back to the real world after the first nightmare. Sunny had sometimes thought about this beautiful woman during his journey into the dream realm. BS, bro, he's never talked about her once. Not only because the 3 pieces of advice Master Jet had given him ended up saving his life on multiple occasions, but also because she was far from the outskirts just like him. Knowing that someone as unfortunate as that had managed to not only survive, but even thrive in the ruthless reality of the nightmare spell had given fuel to his determination as well as providing vital perspective. But what was she doing at his door? Sunny studied Master Jet, suddenly full of doubt. She looked exactly as she had a year ago, only the difference being that her uniform had more wrinkles and that there were now dark circles under her eyes. As he watched, she grimaced. I wouldn't even be surprised if she hasn't slept in a year, bro. My fashion sense. Why, thank you. If you want, I can introduce you to my tailors. You will have to sign a few thick contracts and receive a comfy suit, such as this, though. Sunny forced out a smile. Ah, I see. Those tailors are slightly out of my price range, I'm afraid, but thanks for the offer. After a short pause, he cautiously asked, Master Jet, it is very nice to see you again, but what do I owe the pleasure? I'm sure that you're too busy to visit every random returnee. She looked at him for a couple of seconds, then suddenly yawned as she shook her head to chase away sleepiness. Correct. But since there's some procedure you still have to go through and we already know each other, I thought I'd do the honors. With that, she looked around and deserted a quarter of the hospital complex with a dubious expression, lingered for a couple of seconds, and then asked, Want to eat? Sometime later, the two of them were walking through the ground level of the Academy Hospital. Sunny had thought that Master Jet would take him to the cafeteria there, but instead she headed towards the exit. Where are we going? I thought that cafeteria was that way. She looked at him with confusion, then grimaced slightly. Hospital food? No thanks. Let me take you to the instructor's lounge. That's where they keep the really good stuff. Sunny coughed, but Master Jet, you're not an instructor. She smiled and pointed to the 3-star insignia on her left sleeve. Technically, I'm not. By the Academy is a government facility, so I outrank most of the people here. What are they going to do? I like her demeanor. I like her personality. He blinked a couple of times, then shrugged. Please, chat. I need someone who makes mommy daddy jokes. Has a lot of funny moments. You know what? I'm down for a change of tone. I'm down for some cool, funny interactions. I'm down for that. Like, you know, nice calm before the storm. How long was stream? We were probably gonna go for an hour-ish or so. Indeed, what are you going to do? Tell a master to get out. Who would be that suicidal? Is that a little bit of foreshadowing? As they exited the hospital complex and walked across the academy grounds, Sunny couldn't help but throw furtive glances at the confident young woman, not because he was mesmerized by her, but because seeing her again was a strange expression. Back when they first met, he was just fresh from the first nightmare, barely accustomed to his new status as a sleeper. Being in the presence of a master was like standing in front of a legend. He remembered vividly how much fear and awe this beautiful stranger inspired in him. How actually he felt the measure of ease with each she would be able to kill him if she wished. All it would take was a flick of her finger. Now, slightly more than a year later, so much had changed. He was still pretty sure that he had no chance taking her in the fight. A fair one at least, but the reverent fear was gone, replaced by a simple respect. Sunny knew that he had it to himself, if not for the win, then at least survive a confrontation with someone like Jet. The downtime chapters in Shadow Slave are very pleasing. I'm down. I'm liking this already. In a sense, he was now half a legend himself. As he thought about how different things had become, the two of them approached a small, picturesque building near the center of the academy. Without slowing down, Master Jet walked past a few people that were staring at her with a strange mix of regarding of disdain and entered the instructor's lounge. Oh, right, I remember Teacher Julius mentioned that she had a terrible reputation. To be exact, he described her as a murderous savage, barbarian, having a problematic personality, and a psychopathic killer. I forgot what was her main thing. We're doing pretty good on Hinged. I forgive you, so I'm in a happier mood now, you know? No wonder people were giving them weird looks throughout the whole walk. For some reason, Sunny suddenly felt annoyed, maybe because Jet was someone he knew, or maybe because she used to be an Oscar rat just like him, but he found himself feeling protective. Star awe, bastards, see if we give a damn. Master Jet clearly didn't, so why would he? Sunny looked at the next person to give her a dirty glance, codily activating the murder math to its fullest potential. Immediately, the onlooker paled slightly and turned away. Oh, really? No, he got scared. Sunny smiled. That's right, look away now. The most important part, let's see what the instructors eat. Oh, is he gonna eat like a true connoisseur? Here we go. Let's see what they fucking eat, dude. I'm down for an eating chapter. For people that remember in our LOTM journey, Lord of the Mysteries journey, we spent a whole chapter of them just making like a broth, you know? So I'm down for a whole chapter on this. Chapter-ish, I'm ready. I am ready for the cooking chapters. I am accustomed. Chapter 363 is called Citizen Sunny. At first glance, the interior of the instructor's lounge seemed simply and cozy. Most of the furniture was made out of wood, creating a warm and welcoming atmosphere. Bright sunlight streamed through the tall windows, which are open slightly to let the chilly winter air. However, his eyes widened slightly when Sunny realized that all the wood around him was natural, not synthetic, extravagant, wasteful. Wasteful? Okay. Noticing his expression, Master Jet smiled slightly. Let me guess, you have never seen that much real wood in one place. Sunny hesitated, then gave her a nod, only in a dream realm. The young woman grinned and moved the chair back with her foot and sat down on one of the tables. Where do you think all this came from? He looked... From there? He looked around, seeing the instructor's lounge of the academy from a completely new perspective, then slightly sat down, lost for words. Master Jet summoned the menu, made a selection, then leaned back and tardily rubbed her face. Believe it or not, the chair you're sitting on is made out of a dead titan? What the fuck? We just bring him back? I can't believe Guilty 3 is going on a hiatus. He's at it again. He's at unhinged. He's at it again, bro. He looked around, seeing the instructions lounge of the academy from a completely new perspective, then silently sat down, lost for words. Master Jet, oh wait, believe it or not, the chair you're sitting on is made out of a dead titan. Sunny stared at her, shocked. Suddenly, he had a strong impulse to jump out of the chair. What? She chuckled and gestured around. Do you guys hear my breathing? She chuckled and gestured around. All of this, actually, back when Bastion was first established, it was surrounded by a vast and very hungry forest. The whole thing was one giant nightmare creature. Clan Valor spent decades at war with it, losing many knights. At the end, the forest was destroyed, leaving behind a lot of high-quality lumber, and here we are. I did believe it for a split second, like, unhinged. It's like, I hope you didn't. I hope that wasn't true. Sunny scratched the back of his head. Sunny scratched the back of his head and then cautiously knocked on the wood table. The thing seemed dead, but he decided to remain alert just in case. It had once been a part of a titan after all. So their food arrived. Sunny half expected for it to be delivered by an actual echo. The US of A. That's what's up, Bricky boy. For it to be caw fucking bald eagles in the air when you say that. Sunny half expected for it to be delivered by an actual echo, but luckily it was brought by a mundane automated server. Taking his plates off the motorized tray, Sunny stared at the feast in front of him with wild eyes. There were fried potatoes, baked beans, juicy roast meat, a salad made out of real vegetables, a bowl of fragrant soup, several pieces of oven bread, butter, jam, and even chocolate pudding for dessert. That sounds really fucking good. It was the most beautiful sight he had ever seen. It was also his first time seeing some of these things in real life. Suddenly in the position of research assistant, once promised to him by teacher Julius, did not seem to be unattractive. Please excuse me. Master Jet waved at him and concentrated on her own food. Not wasting any time on the matter, Sunny assaulted his breakfast with the same level of ferocity as when battling nightmare creatures. That's going to be a funny panel in the webtoon. Sometime later, with his belly on the verge of bursting open, he pushed away empty plates and leaned back with a satisfied smile on his face. Ah, this is life. After having such a crazy-ass fucking conversation with Cassie, he just jumped to this. That is so funny, dude. Running a fantasy level creature system. Oh. I'll be your beta reader, Alma. You let me know. Ah, this is life. Master Jet glanced at him with a dry smile. What did I tell you? This is where they hide the good stuff. Sunny looked at the empty plates with regret and sighed. Yeah, although after a year of eating almost nothing except for monster meat, I would have been satisfied even by a synth plate. Her smile dimmed at the mention of the most common food in the outskirts. As the two glasses of beautiful dark tea steamed in front of them, Master Jet sighed, then took out something from the inner pocket of her uniform. It was a small metal box with a sensor on its lid. Definitely will read that, Alma. Not easy, won't read it. Don't trust him? You can trust me. Placing the box on the table, she looked at Sunny and asked, you must be wondering why I visited you, right? Sunny tilted his head slightly, stared at the metal box for a few seconds, and then answered in a cautious tone. Yes, to be honest, I'm very curious. If she works for the government, she's going to recruit Sunny to the government. Like, I'll give you access to where my beacon is, like my spawn point or whatever, but you're going to have to work with me in the government. That's going to be it. Did I say it wrong? Yes, to be honest, I'm very curious. She nodded and smiled reassuringly. Don't be nervous, it's just a formality, and a very beneficial one. At that, put your fingers on the sensor. He hesitated, then did as she told him. The sensor buzzed for half a minute, and then a small green light ignited the metal box. With a quick click, it unlocked. Master Jet opened the box and took out several objects. A slick communicator made out of a flexible glass, a memory chip with the government seal. What did I tell you? A memory chip with the government seal etched on its surface, and a small iron badge with 2 stars engraved in it. Oh, I scrolled down too much. Oh, wait, no. I scrolled down too much. Fuck, I lost my place. Found my place. Pushing them towards Sunny, she lingered for a moment, then said in a light tone, "Congratulations, awakened Sunless. You are now officially a citizen of the 7 franc, no less." Her words struck Sunny like a hammer. Silently, he stared at the 3 objects in front of him, his face not betraying even a hint of emotion. A citizen. Back in the outskirts, people lived and died, dreaming of becoming one of the true citizens. Oh, that's what that is? How is bro even reading? I'm out of it. You should have seen us when we read LTM, man. We used to get lost all the time. I think because I'm losing my breath. And I keep looking at chat. I think that's why I'm losing myself today. Good thing we're only reading an hour. Back in the outskirts, people lived and died dreaming of becoming one of the true citizens. That simple word had so much meaning. Access to proper food, human rights, and better life. To all the things that none of them really had. To have a future. Yo, what's up? Very few of those people had ever gotten the chance to hear the word citizen in connection to their name. Being poor and lowly only led one to becoming destitute and falling to the bottom. It rarely led to rising higher, let alone soaring to the peak. And here he was, not only becoming a citizen, but even jumping over to all the steps, arriving at the very pinnacle of this social hierarchy in one go. Not just a citizen, and not even of a high rank, but of the highest. Yeah, what's up? 7 franc, there's literally nothing higher. Finally, his expression changed, becoming grim. Wouldn't 7 be the lowest? Oh, you probably would have started like at 1 and then gone up to 7. It's weird. Everything is in tiers of 7. Finally, his expression changed, becoming grim. Looking up at Master Jet, he asked in a somber tone, "I get it. I would be made a citizen after awakening, but the 7 franc, isn't that a little too much?" Master Jet laughed. "Sunless, you don't really know what you did you?" Sunny looked at her without humor, then said, "I'm pretty sure that I do, but please enlighten me." She shook her head and sighed. "Listen, of all the sleepers that had returned from the dream realm, in the last few years, there are only 5 whose files were marked as SS, and you are one of them." Title drop? Wait, hold up. Do not confuse SS with the other thing I did not know. That was from the 40s. Don't confuse it with that. But his rank, he's a triple S. And this fucker only said like 300-400. He probably killed more. Right? He probably, because if he was at 1,000, he must have killed more than that. I know some gave him 2 and whatnot, but most of the time he was only getting like 1 shadow essence. G3 loves number 7. You know what? I'm gonna call it right now. There's more than the human world and the dream realm. There's probably like 5 other realms we don't know about. So he can be, yes, thank you, Celestial, because G3 is actually G7. Watch that be a setup. You guys are like almost approaching chapter 3000. You're about to get some like Toriko ending where you're like, oh shit, there's this whole other universe out there. Motherfuckers, there's like 5 other realms out there, and we only know of 2 so far. Watch it be that. No, you forgot he can't lie. Oh, you're right. He wasn't wearing Weaver's mask, and he wasn't hurt when he said like 300-400. So he was telling the truth. Imagine if that's actually true, LMAO. Shadow Slave has Bible references. Oh, you think is that our first theory? Is that our first official theory? No, I've also theorized that he's gonna run into his sister in the dream realm, because fate does some very horrible things. So that's our second theory, our second official theory. Chapter 364 is called SS Class Sunless. Sunny stared at Master Jet. A strange expression froze on his face. After all, he asked, "That's great, but what the hell does SS mean?" "Shadow Slave, brother." She smiled and sipped her tea, looking at him across the table, placed the cup back down. She shook her head slightly and said, "The government and the powerful legacy clans..." Oh, the legacy clans. And the powerful legacy clans, of course, keep track of every awakening in the world. Now, it shouldn't be surprising for you, right? Sunny slowly nodded. Yeah, that makes sense. Master Jet shifted slightly and continued. Firstly, because every awakened technically has a duty to respond when a gate opens near their location. That's what these special communicators for. In exchange for all the privileges we receive, we have to protect this world from nightmare creatures. A dark grimace appeared on her face. Of course, realistically, no one can force you to actually fulfill that duty, or at least no one is going to. Many awakened turn around and run as soon as they receive a gate crisis alert. Sunny grimaced. On one hand, he understood such a reaction perfectly. Why would they want to risk their lives for random strangers? Not every awakened was good. Not every awakened was good in the fight too. Not everyone was like the artisans of the Dark City who had gone into battle side by side with those dreamers who possess combat aspects. Oh, you're right. That makes sense. I'm sorry, my nose is still sniffling. And I know that's very for some of you guys. My bad. But on the other hand, the idea of running away while monsters were devouring mundane humans and wreaking havoc in the real world simply rubbed him the wrong way. It seemed as though Sunny had somehow developed a bit of a pride in the past year. He didn't want to run from nightmare creatures and capitulate to the spell. He might have even been infected with having morals. Better squash this lunacy fast. Oblivious to his thoughts, Master Jet continued. Secondly, newly awakens are monitored because everyone wants to recruit the best of them. Talents need to be nurtured, and for that, they need to be recognized first. So, most promising awakened receive a mark on their file. Usually, it's SA or simply S. Do you know what that means? Sunny shook his head. She grinned. SA means strategic asset. There's not a lot of awakened who are considered to be important enough to be assigned that designation. Having one means that you are viewed as a person who could potentially be important to the very survival of humanity, or at least make an impact on the global scale. Simply put, it's either someone whose aspect can be extremely useful to society, or someone who has a high chance of becoming a master, maybe even a saint. Master Jet took another sip of tea, then gestured lazily at herself. Like me, not to brag, but some people with an S designation are few and far between. That's why we usually receive a lot of attention and support from either the government or the legacy faction we decide to align with. But here comes the best part. She grinned. Currently, everyone is running around and forming at their mouths because of you guys. All 100 of those who returned from the Forgotten Shore were marked as strategic assets. That is an unprecedented event in human history. A certain appearance of 100 powerful awakened is not that important in the grand scheme of things, but if those awakened all have a very high chance of becoming masters, maybe even a saint, that would be enough to completely shatter the current status quo. Sunny stared at her, thinking up until now, everything that he had heard was in accordance with how he had imagined things to be. But I get it. What's that about me being marked SS? What does SS even stand for? Master Jet nodded. I was about to explain. He's like, bro, you just gotta be quiet and let me explain. I was just about to explain. Above those marked as strategic assets, there are those marked as special strategic assets, SSA or SS for short. The designation is even rarer. Actually, very few people even gotten it. What it means is that you are considered to have a very high chance of becoming a saint. You know how rare transcendents are, right? So of course, everyone now wants to be your friend, including the government, hence the 7 franc citizen status. She looked at him with an apologetic smile and added, granted, out of the 5 people with the SS designation, you are the least outstanding. You are the least outstanding, no offense. Sunny glanced at her and smiled slightly. None taken. Who are the other 4? Master Jet shrugged. 3 of them are the only ones who received true names for the spell after leaving the Forgotten Shore. Awakened Athena, Awakened Kai, and Awakened Cassie. The 4th one is Awakened Song Se Shan, who is, well, from one of the great clans. To be honest, your own achievements, while still incredible, pale in comparison to theirs, but someone had noted that you went from being the second to last in the academy, rating to leading 100 sleepers to the gateway during the last leg of the journey. You are seen as someone with great growth potential. In short, he not only great. Sorry, I was about to make a joke. Not only great growth potential in short, but also because he is short. Lost from height. He nodded, somewhat satisfied by that answer. It's not as bad as I thought. Actually, it was perfect. It was exactly the result he had hoped for. To be considered one of the best, but also the worst of the best. He needed status to receive all the best opportunities in the world. He needed to have value. Looking at the beautiful standard in front of him, Sunny took a sip of the tea, then smiled brightly. So, that really sounds great, a great honor, and so on. But what I really want to know is what exactly can I get thanks to being the 5th most incredible person of an entire generation? Master Jet laughed and glanced at him with approval. Good, straight to the point. Well, that depends. What is it you want the most? Sunny didn't hesitate before answering, his tone steady and firm. To be free. The smile disappeared from her face. Looking down at her tea, Master Jet lingered for a while and then said wistfully, then you're out of luck. I am sorry, but freedom is just a myth, Sunless. No one is ever free in this world. Mundane humans have to toil and struggle to remain alive, even if they are fortunate enough to reach the height of success and acquire great wealth. Their lives still belong to the awakened who protect them from nightmare creatures, but then awakened, we are not free to. Our lives belong to the spell. She paused and then added with slight sadness, if we want to survive its trials, we need to tether ourselves to others, be it powerful clans or the government, or even just members of the cohort. We have to depend on our allies and companions, and then in turn we have to depend on us. All of us are chained to one another, Sunless, and that is the only way we can survive. So think again about what you want. Think carefully. Sunny stared at her for a long time, his eyes full of dark, deep, heavy emotions. After a while, he sighed slowly and then said, if that is the case, then I want to be strong. Oh my god, dude. I fucking love this series, bro. It is so good, dude. Like, dude, it is insane how good this book is. Like, don't get me wrong. There's 3,000 fucking chapters, right? Like, there is a lot of reading to do. So it's like, I know I have a lot of content to look forward, but like, book 1, Shadow Slave, is very action-packed. Like, when the physical book comes out, it's a very action-packed book. And then when book 2 comes out and we get like volume 2, Demon of Change, fucking amazing. It's just fight. It's like literally you're just playing a FromSoft game with fucking like video game mechanics and just leveling up. And like, here's the thing. At the start of this year, I read Mistborn. I really, really like it. There's some parts where I'm like, where I didn't really relate to Vin so much. Like, she's putting on her dress. Or maybe when I put on the Audrey cosplay, because we did promise at 1,500 subs, I'd get it. But it's like, there's some parts in Mistborn that I couldn't relate, or there's some parts that I read in Warbreaker that I just couldn't relate when learning about Vivenna and Cersei, or like stuff like the female leads, or like even in the Elantris, the male lead. Like, there's some parts where I couldn't relate to them, or like, but like Sunny, it's like, I can't say I relate to him. Maybe I relate to him the part where it's like, I just want to be free and be strong or whatever. But it's like, I love how action-packed it is. And then so far in all these like quote-unquote slow character moments where they're just talking, I like it. Long story short, I fucking love it. I'm sorry, I did not update our chapter when we were at 4. We are at 5. Okay. I love it. Long story short. Oh, hell no, I ain't going to be that dreaded place. Especially Easy Geeky. What about me? What? No. Why would you wish that on me? I wish you guys nothing but happiness. Master Jet looked at him for a while, then smiled. Perfect. That is a good goal to have, especially for people like us. She took a sip of her tea, then closed her eyes for a few moments. All right, there are many ways for people to become strong. Some more straightforward than the others. Ideally, you would want a powerful organization backing you up. But that is not the only way. In fact, such a partnership is a double-edged sword. You gain a lot, but also have to give a lot in return. I'll provide you with a basic information, and you can decide for yourself. Sunny straightened a little and listened to her attentively. Master Jet thought for a few seconds and then said, in the next few days, you will have to decide what citadel to go to. That is not the same as joining a faction, but closely tied to it. Usually, young Awakened have to compete for the right to join a desirable faction, and therefore be taken to the citadel it operates from. Your case is different though. Everyone wants you, and I mean, everybody wants him? Who's we? If the spell takes me, my asthma's cure, maybe. We all getting divine aspects. Shit, you get one. It's like Oprah. You get one. I get one. Everyone gets one. We all get a divine aspect. So everybody wants him. Easy's getting the stalling slave aspect. Yeah, maybe. Dude, imagine just stalling a conversation with Gunlug, and then we stalled so long that he dies of like a natural cause. Or like he gets like a piece of debris falls on him and kills him, but he died technically because of me. I've read the prologue Alma of Stormlight Archive. I just scratched the surface. And so everybody wants him. That's where we're at. Everybody literally wants him. So you can pick any of the human citadels in the dream realm to call home. She paused on and then continued. As you should already know, there are 3 great human citadels in the dream realm. Oh, are we gonna learn more regions? As well as many smaller ones. Your primary citadel belongs to the great clans, while the smaller ones can be either ruled by a lesser clan or remained independent. Regardless, all of them are situated around the 3 main human enclaves and tied to them in one form or another. No matter where you go, you'll be in the sphere of the influence of one of the great clans. It's just that you can be either in its center, close to the center, or in the periphery. Sunny scratched his head. What about the government? Doesn't the government control many citadels? Master Jet shook her head. Out there in the dream realm, the government has less influence than the great clans. It does, however, maintain a presence in all the important citadels, which allows us to play a unique role. In the dream realm, we serve as a connective tissue between the 3 factions. I guess the flexibility has its own benefits if you ask me. So we side with the government. She knocked lightly on the table and said, in any case, even if you decide to refuse the obvious choice of settling in one of the great citadels, you'll have to select one of the 3 territories. There are not connected, as some people think. In fact, there are deadly and extremely hazardous regions separating each of the human domains from each other, so that is going to be your first decision, which territory to choose. That made sense. If Sunny chose to go to the Bastion, for example, he would have the opportunity to build a relationship with the great clan Valor, which ruled it, or any of the lesser clans in the sphere of the influence. He will lose the opportunity to be recruited into the great clan Song, though, or any other clan that exists in separate human territory, and so on. Master Jet finished her tea and looked at the empty cup with a solemn expression. Oh yeah, this is where I was supposed to give you the recruitment speech and try to convince you to join the government forces. There we go. What I'm telling you, he's going to join them. But I'm not going to. You are smart enough to figure out the pros and cons of the path by yourself. All I will say is that you will never be truly accepted as an equal by the members of the Legacy clan. SS designated or not. Maybe they won't say it to your face, but you'll always be treated as someone a tiny bit lesser at best. Sunny's expression darkened. Castor's face suddenly appeared in his mind. Eyes full of disdain. Fuck. Damn. Castor's like, fuck that bitch. He's like, I'm with the government. Well, that mom girl got to your throat. Who's laughing now? Master Jet had a similar kind of expression on her face. Had she experienced her own share of hardships because of her lowly background? Most likely. As Sunny was pondering what Master Jet's path to becoming descendant must have looked like, she suddenly and smiled with irony. Not that entering a legacy clan is a bad deal. Actually, it's a dream come true for many, most even. With renowned Sunless, any clan would be happy to give you patronage. Some might even adopt you. Hell, with your looks, even marriage is not out of the question. I'm sorry. So he's handsome. Sunny is handsome. After leveling up, he's a handsome individual now. Okay. Man, remember in the beginning when they were calling him ugly? Now he's a charming lad. As Sunny choked on his tea and did an actual spit take, Master Jet laughed. Marriage? What marriage? Oh my gosh, she is going to marry Nephis. She shook her head. How do you think legacy clans recruit talents? There are patronage contracts, adoptions, and matrimony. The latter being the preferred method when it comes to true gems, anything to enhance the bloodline, you know. Oh my god. There's going to be a whole fucking arc. I think people told me roughly how many. There's about 250 chapters, right, Alma? Volume 3 is about 250 chapters. I don't know what the arc is called. I assume I'll know what the arc is called once we, like, go into the Dream Realm. But yeah, I think it's about 250 chapters. As Sunny stared at her with wide eyes, Master Jet chuckled and continued. In any case, these are your options. You can go with the government, one of the 3 great clans, or a lesser clan. Each will provide you with plenty of incentives to join them instead of the others. The most wealthy factions will even share you with soul shards. You and I both know how important those are. Few people can refuse such offer. She sighed wistfully, lingered for a bit, and then added, of course, you can also remain independent. In that case, you won't have any special support outside of the usual benefits of being a highly regarded awakened, be it in the form of training, resources, or access. Oh, you just got the notification? It took you guys an hour to get the notification that I went live? What the fuck? Form of training, resources, or access, but you also won't be tied down by any obligations. Free to travel around the Dream Realm, but as you wish, making a living, hunting nightmare creatures, or providing useful services to your citadel of choice. There are plenty of independent awakened out there, although few who are truly successful. It's a tough way to live. This is kind of like... This really feels like now it's like an RPG game, right? Where like now you have to like pick a faction that you're going to be role-playing as or whatever. Now it kind of feels like that. So he rubbed his face, feeling slightly overwhelmed by the copia of choices in front of him. He had no need for soul shards, but being showered on them still seemed like a great experience. Master Jet grinned. So, what do you think? He hesitated for a bit and then said, I don't know. That's a lot to take in. I'll have to think about many things before making a decision. She nodded as though that was a good expected answer. Good? Nothing good can come from rushing such matter. With that, Master Jet took a small, secure plastic container out of her pocket and pushed it to her Sunny. He took it and raised an eyebrow. What's this? She shrugged. A pack of military-grade stimulants to keep you awake for a while. Don't use more than 1 patch at a time. Wait, why am I explaining this to you? You're from the outskirts, so your knowledge of stimulants use must be extensive. In any case, with that, you'll be able to stay lucid for about a week. Contact me when you are ready to make a decision. I'll arrange the rest. Oh, also feel free to call me if you have any questions. Scratch that. Not any questions, just important ones. I Can't Lie Volume 3 is one of the most funny volumes. Really? She stood up, stretched a little, and gave him a little smile. Well, it's been nice seeing you. Awake and sunless, you did well. Staying alive out there warms my heart knowing that another one of us did. I'll be off then. Time waits for no one and all that. She turned around to walk away, but Sunless stopped her. Master Jet? She glanced at him in confusion. Yeah, Sunny hesitated for a bit and then raised his newly issued expensive slick communicator. I don't have your contact. Master Jet stared at him for a while, then grinned. Want to get my number, huh? Feeling his ears turning slightly red, Sunny coughed, but then took hold of himself and said with an easy smile, yes, how else am I going to call you when I've made a decision? The beautiful woman shook her head and then took the communicator and entered her contact information into it. Dude, I love this woman. She is funny. Returning the communicator to Sunny, she looked at him and said, can't wait to hear from you, Awake and Sunless. See you later then. With that, Master Jet walked away, leaving Sunny alone at the table. Looking around, he sat in the silence for a while. Finally, he said quietly, I wonder, can I get another of everything I ate? That'd be great. Kai Ov's K-pop homie for life. Is that your guys' favorite? So I'm gonna read a chapter from back here. By the way, there's almost 50 of you guys that just kind of joined right away, dude. I'm sorry, I didn't even make an announcement. Holy shit, dude. Thank you guys for pulling up and supporting, you know, this part of our YouTube journey. Thank you guys for tuning in. So chapter 360. I'm gonna actually just lay back a little bit for this chapter. Hold up. Hopefully I don't show my feet again. Hold up. We're just gonna lay back and just kind of chill a little bit. But chapter 360. Also, I'm not wearing my glasses, so it is kind of hard to read chat. So I'm gonna have to squint a little bit. 366 is called Lessons of History. Some time later, Sunny exited the instructor's lounge. The clear winter day welcomed him, with chilly wind and the tiny snowflakes dancing in sunlight. Despite being dressed very lightly, his skin was covered only by the soft fabric of the simple train suit provided to him by the staff of the Academy Hospital Complex. Sunny did not feel too cold. That's being awakened for you, I guess. If it had not been a year and a few months ago, he would have been desperately searching for shelter, hoping that he would not freeze to death overnight or so, or even worse, get sick. But now Sunny felt great. He wasn't even uncomfortable. Pulling down his sleeves to hide the serpent tattoo, he inhaled the cool, perfectly filtered air, smiled, and started walking. Decisions. The conversation with Master Jed had been useful, but left him with more questions then answers. Each of the choices presented to him had alluring benefits, but also very serious drawbacks. Great clans, lesser clans, government, or independent. I feel like you go government, right? So he tried to imagine himself as a legacy and suddenly shook his head. All that prestige, all that wealth, the admiration of the masses, being a legacy meant being a part of the nobility, the elite above all elites. It was the exact opposite of what Sunny had been all his life. But who said that he had to remain the same in the future? From a pauper to a prince, that would be a nice transformation. Lord Sunless, that had a nice ring to it, didn't it? There were serious disadvantages to making such a choice, of course. Working for the government offered its own advantages, but at the cost of not receiving as much funds and resources. While being tied down by too many obligations, both times Sunny had met Master Jet, she seemed busy and overworked. He couldn't imagine pursuing his goals with such a schedule. One of the factions of the Awakened Forces in its service to the government was hunting down rogue members of their own kind. Awakened were people, after all, and there were criminals among them too. Especially because many people were traumatized and driven to the edge of madness by their experiences in the nightmare and the dream realm. Sunny could absorb the essence of those humans he killed like all the other Awakened. The path he could have offered him a faster track to saturating his cores, but as it was, he didn't see himself putting on the uniform unless there were new gates opening every day. Oh, so he might not go that route, thus providing him with the endless supplies of nightmare creatures to hunt. By the way, how many gates were opening in a given year on average? Suddenly, Sunny realized that he had no idea. The propaganda never really mentioned the concrete numbers, only the fact that the Valiant Awakened had the situation under control. Did they really? I'll be honest, I don't think they have it under control. Like most governments, propaganda can influence people like a lot. So the populace probably thinks, oh yeah, the government has it under control, but in fact they don't. And I think this is the best route for Sunny. Once he realized like, oh shit, this is a really big problem. He's gonna like, okay, I'll go government so I can go inside all these fucking gates and level up. The last option was to remain independent. That choice was seemingly in contradiction to his desire to acquire status and as many benefits as possible. No, so he has to go government. But only on the surface. In fact, Sunny had already received most of what he wanted by becoming a high-ranking citizen and getting a free pick of any citadel. Of course, not having the vast resources of a legacy clan or the government would be a huge loss, but it would also provide him the best chance he had to keep all his secrets to himself. All three options were worthy of being considered. In the end, it all came down to the fact that he simply didn't have enough information to make a decision, so getting information was his first priority, but how? What was it called? A library. The academy had to have one of those things, right? Oh, he's never been to a library? Sunny, of course, had never been to a library, but he was familiar with the concept. There were similar types of public terminals in the outskirts too. Although using them cost credits, he had never had any to spare, so his visits were very few and far between, and he went there for entertainment, not to study. Not that Sunny had himself a state-of-the-art communicator. He could access a lot of information from the network, but doing so would doubtly leave a digital trail behind. Considering that some of the topics he wanted to research were rather dangerous, he wanted to remain as anonymous as possible. A library it is. Wow, he is like ahead of the curve. 10 minutes later, he approached a square, white building like most of the academy. Its walls were made out of smooth, pristine alloy with wide windows that could be covered at any moment with refined shutters. There weren't many people inside, so Sunny assumed that the library was not a popular destination among the awakened. Why would it be if most of the information stored there could be accessed remotely? He was a weirdo for coming here in person. Entering through the automatic door, Sunny looked around and blinked a couple of times. Everywhere he looked, tall shelves full of paper, books stretched into the distance. Between them stood tables meant for study, with several young men and women reading behind them silently. Most of them were using terminals to take notes, but some were actually writing by hand. What the hell is that? All the books, of course, were printed on synthetic paper. Welcome back. I'm sorry. They have synthetic paper, but why have them printed at all? Wouldn't it be more convenient to read them from a terminal like that normal people did? He had never seen a physical book in his life. Oh, isn't it kind of ironic how we're getting a physical book? The very idea of using one was mind-boggling, but then it made sense. Digital data storage technology was highly advanced, but susceptible to various types of damage. During dark times, which came before even darker times with the nightmare spell, back when humanity had been consumed by an endless series of devastating wars and cataclysmic natural disasters, a lot of knowledge had been lost due to over-reliance on digital mediums. That's really smart. I think G3 is really good with this writing right here. It's like, yeah, bro. The world became too dependent on technology and it came to bite us in the ass. That's why always support physical media, people. That is the only way to actually own something. Whole layers of culture, like when it comes to video games and movies, whole layers of culture were irrevocably gone as a result. Paper was still the safest way to preserve knowledge. It's just Sunny had never thought about it before. Still weird. Trying to not show his confusion, Sunny fearfully looked around and noticed a member of the library staff. It was a young man, no wait, a young woman. A young person with short black hair and intelligent brown eyes, who was currently reading a vintage-looking book. There's a badge on her chest with the name Ren written on it. At least Sunny thought that it was a name. Maybe it was some weird title among the librarians. Who knew what kind of strange customs they had here? Approaching the young librarian, he stopped a couple of meters away, waited patiently to be noticed. However, Ren continued to read, fully engrossed in whatever the book told. Even full of deep emotions, curious, Sunny looked at the other title of the cover. Free Fall sounds familiar, must be a really great book. Maybe I should read it someday. Hey, can I get some directions? No, my Steam library will not survive. Ren lingered for a couple of seconds, then reluctantly put down the novel and looked at him with a neutral smile. Of course, how can I help you? He lingered for a bit, then said with uncertainty, how can I read about the Dream Realm and the current state of the human expansion into its various regions? Oh? Not my Monster Wild. Oh, you play Monster Hunter Wilds? Bro, we should play, bro. I've sunk in like 330 hours in Wild so far in just the first year. I'm kind of just waiting for the next expansion. Ren blinked a couple of times, then asked politely, can you be more specific? Sunny said, I want to see a map and a list of all the citadels out there, as well as learn who owes what and why, I guess. The librarian smiled brightly. You are a lover of history as well. Of course, you have come to the right place. We have all the records you'll ever need here. Nickel. Sunny flinched. Nickel. What does Nickel mean? What is happening? Suddenly, another young librarian appeared out of nowhere. This one was definitely a guy wearing a... This one is definitely a guy? Freefall is G3 previous book, is it? Oh, really? I'm down to read that off stream. Freefall? I'll look it up. This one was definitely a guy wearing a wrinkled white shirt and a brown vest. He was tall and handsome, with slightly disheveled red hair, scuffly bristles on his chin, and a friendly face. There was a badge on his vest, too, with the word Nickel written on it. The two were a strange pair. Nickel, could you please escort this young man to the Dream Realm history section? The tall librarian glanced at Sunny and gave him a wide smile. Sure, please follow me. Then he headed into the depths of the library, leaving Ren behind. A few moments later, Sunny heard the rustling of the paper badges coming from behind. The smaller librarians was once again engrossed in the library. Yeah, I should definitely check the novel out. A citizen of the 7th rank should be well read, right? About that. Yeah. Nickel led him through the library, asking a few questions to narrow down the search. Soon they arrived in front of a particular set of shelves full of books to deal with the Dream Realm and the history of humanity's slow exploration of it. The young man helped Sunny select a few, wished him luck, and disappeared as quietly and swiftly as he had appeared. Sunny looked at the spot where the Nickel had been just a few moments ago, then slowly shook his head. A librarian, that guy could have been an assassin instead. Well, maybe he was. Come to think of it, working in a library could be a perfect cover for a clandestine operators. Maybe I should become a librarian too. Making sure only 40 fake fan. What is it? I think give enough space for 40 Shadow Slave physical books. Need to make space. Yeah, we're gonna be collecting a lot of books. I'm collecting all of Lord of the Mysteries and Shadow Slave. Those are for sure. Eventually, when I read Omniscient Reader Viewpoint, I might continue buying more of the physical books. Making sure that no one's watching him, Sunny put his books on a nearby table and walked back to the shelves. There he stared at a certain book he had noticed a few minutes ago. Its title was simple, The Immortal Flame. Sunny hesitated for a bit and then took out the book off the shelf. Oh, are we going to learn about Nephis' clan? He was pretty sure that the Sovereigners were at least partly responsible for the fall of Nephis' clan. If so, there had to be some hints of their identity in the history of the Immortal Flame. This has to be a good place to start looking for some answers, right? Oh, it's going to be good. I need to manually hit pause up here. Chapter 367 of the beautiful and glorious Shadow Slave. Fog of Time? Am I reading Lord of Mysteries here? I'm sorry, Fog Time? I feel like this is a Lord of the Mysteries reference here. Okay. Chapter 367 is called Fog of Time. Sunny brought the book back to the table and sat down, looking at the plain cover with a complicated expression. Of course, he knew a few things about the Immortal Flame clan. Everybody did, considering how prominent the achievements of its members were. Even though Sunny missed out on receiving proper education, the legendary figures of Changing Star's father and grandfather had long ago found their way from the pages of history into the popular culture. Their names were pretty much synonymous with heroism and indomitable nature of their human spirit, famous painted with a tinge of tragedy. Yeah, I know, I'm sorry. Today's a very stally day. Sorry, we're not that locked in just because I did it last minute. I've been very distracted and like... Look, when I'm not in streamer mode, I stall. When I'm in streamer mode, I will lock in. I'm not in streamer mode today, so I do apologize for that. Immortal Flame was the first awakened to become a master and broken sword. His son-in-law was the first master to become a saint. Of course, they had not done so alone, and each of a group had powerful companions to share the burden of challenging the spell. So a more proper statement would have been that they were the leaders of the first cohorts to conquer the second and third nightmares. However, the names of their comrades were not as well known. Sunny was sure that kids learned about them in school, but a street rat like him only had a general impression of who they were. Mostly, he just remembered that some of them would be good to establish great clans. Yeah, pretty much. But that was the thing about heroes. Sunny had once told to Effie that the one had to die to become a hero, and that was not a joke. A person could possess renowned respect for achieving something incredible, but it was the act of making the ultimate sacrifice that elevated one to heroic status. That's why the Immortal Flame clan were revered much more than the other great clans, not only because the leaders of those cohorts came from it, but also because it had a tragic end, or had it. If Nephis did manage to return to the real world, the fame of her clan would burn bright once again. Perhaps even brighter than ever before, the survivors of the Dreamer army already treated her like a deity. With a sudden frown, Sunny awkwardly opened the book and started reading. Accustomed to reading off a screen, he shrugged for a bit with the printed text, but then quickly got used to it and engrossed himself in Illusion's history of the famed clan. The first part was dedicated to the Mortal Flame clan, and although it was interesting, there was not a lot of information there that Sunny could use. He already knew Nephis's grandfather had been among the first wave of people infected by the Nightmare spell, and that he fought against the Nightmare creatures during the initial mayhem that followed its appearance. Back then, millions of people were suddenly thrust into the first nightmare and died, resulting in millions of nightmare creatures entering the real world. What the fuck? Millions suddenly died in the first nightmare, and it resulted in millions of nightmare creatures entering the real world. Of course, almost all of them were only of the dormant ring, but even that turned out to be too much for the armies of the already reeling humanity to handle. Whole nations were destroyed, and for a while the planet was submerged into absolute chaos. What in the fuck, bro? That's insane, bro. It was only thanks to the people like the Immortal Flame who had not earned their true names yet back then, of course, that the situation changed. There were those who had survived the first nightmare, then entered the Dream Realm and carved their path to the gateways. After returning to the real world, they united and fought back against the tide of the nightmare creatures, eventually establishing a new world order. The one that existed to this day. They were tough people. Becoming awakened was hard enough even today. With all the accumulated knowledge about the spell being freely accessible to everyone, back when it first appeared, people like the Immortal Flame didn't know anything. They didn't know what an aspect was, how many ranks and classes of the nightmare creatures were there, what they meant, what their memories and echoes were, what a gateway was. Most importantly of all, they didn't even know if saving humanity was even possible, and yet somehow they learned and fought back. Sunny couldn't imagine how dark and hellish this time must have been. Truly, they deserved his respect. But sadly, they didn't deserve his time. At least for now, he had much more pressing things on his plate. So Sunny just skimmed through the pages describing the Immortal Flame's life, his eventual triumph over the second nightmare, and heroic death. The legendary master died defending the evacuating cities from the onslaught of the terrible creatures that entered the real world through a Category 5 gate. That happened just a year or so before Sunny was born. Oh wow, so this was 19 years ago. And it had cost humanity an entire continent. It was, what? Not even like a state or region, a whole fucking continent? An entire continent. It was also the event that led to Nef's mother becoming a hollow. Although that tragedy was not described in the book in great detail, all that was said about it was that Small of Heaven died during the disaster while protecting civilians. Sunny sighed and then concentrated on reading about Broken Sword. Nephis's father was not a legacy by birth. In fact, he came from a very humble background and rose for absolute obscurity to the very pinnacle of prominence, thanks only to his talents of battle genius. He was a pauper who had won the heart of a princess and became the heir of the most venturant clan in human history. The narrative, princess. The narrative of the book framed the history in a way that suggested that Broken Sword had been heartbroken by the death of his wife, and that it was this loss that drove him to rise even higher and challenge the third nightmare. Miraculously, Broken Sword succeeded in becoming the first saint. Oh, he became the first saint. There was no happy end to his story, though. Just a few years later, he perished in the Dream Realm while exploring a region that would later be categorized as a death zone. The book ended with a long-winded tribute to the two legendary heroes and an explanation of how important their contributions were to survival and the future prosperity of the human race. Wait till we... Oh my god! Shadow Slave is the book on Sunny. I got it. That's our third official theory. Everything we're reading is like I was about to say Klein. Everything like a Roselle diary entry page. Everything we're seeing, reading, hearing, feeling, and thriving is everything happening from Sunny's point of view. That's written down in his book because he dies a hero. And it's like, now it's like the new generation. Wow. We've like, the only reason we're here is thanks to Sunny, the saint, god tier looking being. Look at that. Look at that. We figured it out. Sunny closed the book and shook his head. What a load of crap. And my theory is, what a load of crap. He might have not been educated, but like most people in the outskirts, Sunny had instinctive skill of recognizing propaganda and reading between the lines of official statements, and this was what the book was, an embellished, partly fictional version of events that the government liked to feed to the people. The truth was hard to come by. There were several things about the supposed history of the Immortal Flame clan that didn't make a lot of sense to Sunny. The first one was that the circumstances of Small of Heaven's tragic death. On paper, everything seemed fine, but Sunny knew that she was not in fact dead. Not in the traditional sense of the word. At least she was a hollow. One sec. I need to turn off this blue light filter. Thank you, Sunny. Generational glaze. What is bro cooking? You see? Maybe we are cooking. Okay. Alright, alright. But how could she become hollow? According to the book, at this point in time, Broken Sword had already become a master. The two of them were partners both in life and in death, leading their cohort together. That would suggest that Small of Heaven was a master too. But masters travel to the dream realm physically as opposed to... Oh? So, if she traveled in physical form, it wouldn't make sense for her to be a hollow. Something's a little fishy. Okay. But masters travel to the dream realm physically as opposed to in spirit, like sleepers and awakened did. There would have been no soulless body left behind if she had died there. So, how is it possible? The timeline doesn't add up. The second questionable point was Broken Sword's own death. Saints were extremely powerful beings, and killing one was not an easy task. Even when met with an overwhelming foe, a saint should have been able to at least escape. Saints simply did not die unless they had a reason to stand at the ground and fight to the last breath. The only creatures that could kill them instantly were too powerful and rare to stumble on one randomly, even while exploring an unknown region of the dream realm. Would Broken Sword have been reckless and stubborn knowing that he had a daughter who needed his care and protection? The legendary swordman didn't strike Sunny as someone who would allow himself to die easily unless some other forces were involved. The Sovereigns. And finally, there were the other members of the cohort. Sunny whispered their names. Broken Sword, Small of Heavens, Asterion, Key Song, Anvil of the Valor clan, Aster, Key Song, Anvil of Valor, Aster, Song, Vale, Aster, Song, Vale. Huh. Okay. Who are these names? Chapter 300. Oh my god, wait, I didn't do my time step. I lied. So chapter 300 and... Oh, it clicked. Wait. It clicked. Chapter 368 is called Aster Song Vale. Aren't those... Fuck it, it's at the tip of my tongue. Isn't that what Nephis told Sunny to repeat to him? Like, hey, if I'm lost, say these names. And like, I got her so angry when she said those names. I'm calling it. Those are the names. We just found it of her father's like party, right? They fucking betrayed his ass. And that's why she's so fucking mad when she hears those. Like, those are the people that betrayed my family. We figured it out. That's what that is. I got. That's what it is. Those fucking names. Hold up. Let me scroll back up. Aster Song Vale. Asterion Kai Song Anvil of Valor. Aster Song Vale. Those fucking bastards betrayed her family. That has to be it. But the answer we all need to know is why. Why did that happen? I'll shut up and read in case it's a different answer. But chapter 368 is called Aster Songville. Sunny spent several hours reading the book about the history of the Immortal Flame, of the Immortal Clan book, and now finally he was starting to feel sleepy, not to the point of needing to use the stimulus provided to him by Master Jed, but enough to make it harder for him to concentrate. Rubbing his face, he mentally repeated the names of the Broken Sword's companions, the brilliant warriors who had become the first saints of the human race. They fucking betrayed him. Asterion, Kai Song, Anvil of Valor clan. Were they Aster, Song, Vale? While not exactly the same, the names of the members of the legendary cohort were too similar to the 3 words Nephis had once told him to never say out loud, among a couple of others, to be merely a coincidence. Let's see. What do I really know about all that stuff? Sunny knew that the 3 words held enough meaning to free Neph from her haze of the Soul Devourer's mind hex. At least partly, she had reacted to them very strongly, so much that Sunny had actually been afraid of his life for a bit there. She'd also asked him a strange question. He repeated it mentally, carefully not to say it out loud. Which domain do you belong to? Sunny had no idea. Oh, like which citadel? Sunny had no idea what a capital letter domain was back then, and he didn't know now, but he was indeed sure that there was a capital letter there. He also suspected the people who had been trying to kill Nephis for most of her life were connected to these mysterious domains, which meant that Castor had been too. From that, it wasn't hard to conclude that domains and sovereigns who apparently willed the destruction of the Immortal Flame Clan were tied together, or more likely the same. And all of it had something to do with the lineage memories and the attributes they bestowed, like the fire, attributes that were described as the lineage of the sun god, or his own blood weave, which was apparently both incomplete and forbidden. Another Gunlog situation? I'm sorry. What am I saying wrong? Another Gunlog? I'm sorry. What am I saying wrong? Sunny massaged his temples inside. For a long time, he had no clue about what Aster, Song, and Vale meant, but after meeting Sishan, an adopted daughter of the great clan Song, he began to suspect that they were the names of the 3 legacy clans responsible for numerous attempts on Nephis's life. And maybe even the deaths of her parents and the downfall of the Immortal Flame Clan, not only because of the inherent dislike of legacies, but also because of how peculiar Changing Star had described her relationship with the Handmaidens. Trusted, not really. Never actually. Oh, is it Ki Song? I'm sorry, did I say Kai? Is it Chi? Ki? Chi Song? Ki Song? Right? Why would Nephis say that she would never ever trust Sishan? Maybe it was because Sishan belonged to one of the clans responsible for undoing her family. That was a logical... Why am I always? What happened? That was a logical assumption, but now... Oh, you're late? No, it's okay. I'm sorry, man. This was a last minute stream. Ki Song. So why isn't it fucking spelled Ki? Ki Song? Man, this is why people hate English sometimes. It says Ki, but it's spelled something else, you know? Aster, Ki Song, and Anvil of the Clan Valor. They were Broken Swords companions, and as such, Nephis had to have met them a lot before her father died. Neither Broken Sword himself nor his daughter would have been addressing them by their full names either. What was she called them? Uncle Aster, Auntie Song. Sunny looked down, a dark expression appeared on his face. If these were really the people that had later sent numerous assassins to hunt down the little girl who trusted them, then the hatred Nephis had for them would easily be explained. It would also be easy to explain how a saint of the Broken Sword's talent and might had died. Maybe he had been stabbed in the back by the people he trusted the most. Even though there was no proof, it all made too much sense. Sunny felt that he was on the right track. But how were Asterion, Ki Song, and Anvil of the Clan Valor collected to the mysterious sovereigns that they served them? Or his eyes widened. A terrible suspicion entered his mind. No, not a suspicion, a certainty. It's them. They are. So I thought they were working for the sovereigns. They're the sovereigns. They are the sovereigns. The revelation hit him like a hurricane squall, too vast to comprehend all at once. The key to it was a simple sentence that Nev had once told him while overwhelmed by intense emotions. How did he miss it? Back when they had their falling out in the deserted alley of the outer settlement, Nev said, "You think Gunlan can stop me? You think a fallen terror can stop me? Those 3 ghouls can stop me. No, Sunny, nothing will stop me. Anyone who dares will die. I'll kill them all." She had listed her enemies. She had listed them in order of the magnitude. First Gunlug, then the Crimson Terror, and then the Sovereigns. 3 ghouls, Aster, Song, and Vale. Just as he was trying to cope with that idea, another frightening realization appeared in Sunny's mind. He shuddered. Recalling another thing that Nephis had said, he then mumbled quietly, "No, I won't be the first one to conquer the 4th nightmare. I will be the first one to conquer every nightmare." Back then, he had understood her as wishing to be the first one to beat the 4th nightmare. That's the way I interpreted it, as well as the rest, but her words could have been interpreted in a different way. Among the Awakened, there was a general agreement that the names of the ranks were not coincidental. Many people thought that the words used by the spell described the ascent towards godhood. or the descent into profanity. As far as nightmare creatures were concerned, in many ways, these two paths were reflected of each other. A person of a third rank was described and ascended since they were rising above their human's nature. A creature of the same rank was called fallen. This step had to do with ascension or the opposite of it. A person of the fourth rank was described as a transcendent since they had transcended the mundane and assumed some qualities of divine. A creature of the same rank was called corrupted. This step had to do with transformation. It was no coincidence that the aspect ability the saints received was called a transformation ability after all. The next step also had a special meaning to it. It represented authority and reign, be it the supreme or great. Beings of the great level were meant to be consolidate their powers and exert it upon the world. The fifth step was a class hierarchy, was much the same, allowing nightmare creatures to create and control armies of lesser minions. Such creatures were called tyrants. What would a human who had reached supreme rank be called then? Sunny trembled, a sovereign. Nephis had not meant that she would not only be the first human to conquer the fourth nightmare, but also the rest. She had also meant that she would be the first conqueror of the fifth, sixth, and seventh, because the fourth nightmare had already been conquered. Gods. Key of the great clan song, anvil of the great clan valor. Dude, so we can't even be... I know, we should be... There's so much fucking lore dumping that we should be noting all this shit down. So, as of right now, we cannot choose one of the three great clans. Fuck that. That is a big red flag. If we choose one of the big great clans, it's fucking GG, bro. Like, no. No, we cannot even side with them. We have to go government. She was meant... I lost my place. And the broken sword of the Immortal Flame clan. Broken Sword had been mysteriously killed in the process. Aster, Song, and Vale had returned to the fourth nightmare, reaped a new authority while Broken Sword perished. What was a domain? Possibility, the expression of the fifth aspect ability they had received. A special one, just like the special transformation ability the Saints possessed. And for some reason, they had chosen to keep their accomplishments a secret instead of exerting their influence on humanity from the shadows. Wasn't it strange? Their names seemed to practically disappear from the pages of history after Broken Sword died. They too were the first to become saints. After all, not if they had chosen to keep them hidden. Wasn't it strange that the Caster Hundley clan seemed so loyal to the mysterious sovereigns who had ordered him to kill the last daughter of the Immortal Flame clan? Note, not if they were the real powers behind the great legacy clans to which his own lesser clan was beholden. Wasn't it hard to believe that there were words that could kill just by becoming known to a person? Not if those words were the names of the three supreme rulers who preferred to remain nameless. So yeah, that's a pretty big, that's some pretty big fucking lore dump. Sunny moaned slightly, then covered his face in hands. Crap. Why did I have to go and get myself involved in all this crap? He had a feeling that his life had just become much more complicated. And, you know, I wonder if him saying it out loud, it's like they already know of him, right? Like, that's what I'm thinking right now. Chapter 369 is called Hidden Forces. Here we go. Sunny spent some time staring at the pile of books in front of him with a dark expression. After a while, he sighed heavily. Like, so back in the Dark City, there's at least one individual that was able to track down people just by thinking of them out loud or whatever. Like, I feel like the sovereigns have to have something on that scale where, like, if somebody's able to think of them, they'll know, right? That's what I'm thinking. So that's why she's like, never say it out loud. Chapter 369 is called Hidden Forces. Sunny spent some time staring at the pile of books in front of him with a dark expression. After all, he sighed heavily. So there were hidden forces out there that exerted influences over the entire human race. The authority was as invisible as it was frightening, and now he knew their names. The sovereigns were at least as powerful as the government, or maybe even more so. The exact relationship between these two hegemonic powers, one official, the other secretive, was not clear, but for now, knowing the full extent of the authority rested in the hands of the sovereigns was not that important. However, it was important to know that the world was not at all as he had imagined. It was much more dangerous. Why? Because if there was one thing that all the wielders of the authority shared, it was that the animosity towards the others encroaching on their power. That was just human nature. Among the strong, only one entity could be the strongest, and so the entity was always apprehensive of others growing stronger. Oh, shit. Bosses of criminal gangs in the outskirts were almost paranoid of their lieutenants usurping them and tended to violently get rid of those who were too successful. In the Dark City, Gunlock reigned with an iron fist, destroying anyone who dared to be strong without submitting to his rule. And sovereigns would be much the same. Since Sunny was already powerful beyond reason for a person of his age at least, and had even more frightening potential, the sovereigns would never allow him to exist outside of their control. Luckily, they did not know the true extent of his strength yet, but since his main goal was to become stronger and as strong as possibly he could, as fast as he possibly could, not to fall behind Nephis, that was going to be a problem. Suddenly, some things about the Awakened Society became more clear. A long time ago, Sunny had learned that Master Jet had no chance of becoming a saint. Apparently, one had to have a team of outstanding companions and a lot of support to attempt to conquer the third nightmare, and she lacked both due to her problematic personality. Would sovereigns allow someone outside of their grasp to become a saint? Most resources and knowledge about the Dream Realm belonged to the Legacy clans, especially when it came to anything having to do with the higher ranks. And the clans were controlled by the sovereigns, which basically meant that they could prevent anyone from becoming a saint simply by refusing their support. Wow, that's so fucked up. So it's like they're just stopping from humanity to ascend unless they swore allegiance to them or whatever. That's so fucked up. And then they just kill them in the shadows of it if they don't like them. How many talented masters like Jet were being suppressed from growing more powerful because they didn't serve one of the Supremes? There were a couple of saints serving the government at least. Whom were they really loyal to? Hate it, I hate it so much. Of course, Sunny knew that all of that was just his conjecture, and yet one could be certain. The choice presented to him by Master Jet was not as straightforward as he had though. In truth, he wasn't deciding between the great clans, the lesser clans, the government, and independence. He was deciding between entering into the service of the sovereigns or refusing it. And that choice was strained even further by his connection to Changing Star, Damnation. With a sigh, Sunny stared at the bookshelf surrounding him and then stood up. He had to get a few more books to read. Many hours later, he tiredly put the last one away and rubbed his face. Not that he had absorbed a lot of knowledge about the current geography and situation of the Dream Realm, and a seed of plan began to form in his mind. However, he still needed more information. He wouldn't be able to find it here. However, for that, he would have to visit an old acquaintance. And who is that? Huh. One thing he did find, nevertheless, was a bit more information about the sovereigns, Asterion, Kisong, and Anvil of Valor. The last one was possibly the most renowned and heir to the Great Clan. He was mentioned many times in texts describing the human expansion into the northern territories of the Dream Realm, as well as the history of the Bastion, one of the 3 central human citadels in the Dream Realm. In fact, he had apparently been responsible for slaying the Titan whose remains were then used to create the chair Sunny was currently sitting on. Strong. Later, though, the traces of the Saint Anvil disappeared. There was no mention of his death by the reigns of the Clan Valor. They were now in the hands of his cousins, at least officially. Ki Song was only slightly less famous. Unlike Anvil of Vale, she had come from one of the lesser legacy clans, and it was by her hand that it was elevated to the status of a great one. The stronghold of the clan, Ravenheart, was the second major human settlement of the Dream Realm. Its sphere of influence was separated from the other 2 territories, but especially by especially dreadful regions. The border with the Valor clan was especially deadly, but also rather thin. From what Sunny was able to learn, Ki Song was still the ruler of her clan. Although she rarely appeared in public, she was known as a benevolent and charitable person, but that was pretty much all the information he could find. It seemed that it was her adoptive daughters that was who mostly... I cannot fucking read, bro. Holy shit, I feel so illiterate right now. I am so sorry. I am stuttering like a motherfucker right now. It is so late on my time right now. Like, I gotta get ready for bed in an hour. That is like, holy shit, I'm just spacing out right now. It seemed that it was her adoptive daughters who mostly acted on her behalf. Sishang was one of them, although she was trapped on Forgotten Shore for too long to be mentioned anywhere. And lastly, there was a man named Asterion. He was the most mysterious of the 3. No one seemed to know when we came... Oh my god, look, I'm stuttering again. No one seemed to know where he came from and where he went after the Broken Swords cohort was disbanded. In fact, there was barely any mention of him at all. So maybe he's a good guy, hiding in the shadows. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was on the wrong scene. Sorry. Asterion was not connected to the third great legacy clan, at least from the looks of it, or any lesser clan for that matter. Sunny couldn't even find out where he had been born, let alone if he was still alive. Even if the text is describing the deeds, broken swords of his companions, the name Asterion was only mentioned in passing, as though he had never made an important contribution. Sunny shook his head and scrawled, "Let me guess, he is the most terrifying of the three." That probably. That was an easy conclusion to make because it took one to know one. Sunny himself was barely mentioned and tended to hide his contributions. Ah, my head hurts. The worst part was that this was only half of all the research he had to do. He had learned enough about the human position and dream realm of the sovereigns. Now he had to learn as much as he could about the gods, the demons, and the unknown. It was time to pay Teacher Julius. Oh, Teacher Julius! It was time to pay Teacher Julius a visit. Of course, Sunny couldn't visit his old instructor with empty hands. Pushing the book aside, he activated the terminal embedded into the table, lingered for a few moments, and then typed. All of Forgotten Shore is separated into 3 parts, one of which... ... Fucking cliffhanger. All of Forgotten Shore separated into 3 parts, one of which we will find out soon. Oh. Well. We're gonna end it there. There's a lot of info dump. I low-key felt CV. Hey chat, if you chose one of the big clans, what is your clan? Was there a spoiler? No, it's okay if there's a spoiler. Alma, don't spam. Nah, it's okay. Alma can spam. She been here day one. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Alma's been here day one. It's all good. Don't worry, Sonny. It's weird. There was so much info dump right now that I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. It kind of low key. Look, I'm even feeling a little bit hot. I got a little bit overwhelmed. There was a lot of lore dump in the last 2 or 3 chapters, brothers and sisters. We learned more about the sovereigns. We learned more about potentially how the Immortal Flame clan was, Aster, Song, Vale. We learn about the 3 great clans, the betrayal, that they're probably sovereigns. The sovereigns in the shadows are literally hampering people from becoming saints unless they swore their allegiance to them. Next chapters are a nice break from the exposition. Okay, I'm down for that. We started off nice. No, not nice. We started off heart-wrenched with Cassie's conversation. Then we had some funny moments with Mommy Jet. And then we had some crazy-ass lore dumps. I feel like we covered a lot of ground in these 10 chapters. Easy, you take notes? I have not taken fucking notes. I don't think I'm gonna take notes. Simply being just because I don't have time to take notes. I really want to, and it's like, here's the thing. I can take notes when I'm not streaming. But when I'm not streaming, I'm reading other books. Or right now, I'm playing on my Nintendo Switch 2 when I can, on my break and lunch. Because right now, I'm playing Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive. This is the full title. Right now, away from stream, I am playing Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition Nintendo Switch 2 Edition. That's literally the full fucking title. It is crazy. I'm playing Xenoblade X. Wait, no, not Chronicles, just Xenoblade. Yeah, we're just playing Xenoblade. We're playing X. If you need, I can take notes for you. No, it's okay, Alma. I mean, let me pull it up on the Discord. On Discord, we have I believe we have a lore management. So let's switch over here. Let's switch over to the, oh wait, no. We just have an artwork section. I'm sorry. I thought we had a lore section. Damn. I was wrong. Wait, no, wait a minute. I thought we did. Where did I read all that for Shadow Slave? Damn. Oh, there you go. Lore. We have a lore section. We have a lore section. I mean, if you guys want to contribute to the lore, you guys can put all that in the right here. Feel free to join the Discord and just paste the lore right there. I think that's a good way for me to kind of like at least catch up with everything. That being said, I think we covered a lot of ground. I got lazy because you really didn't check lore section. No, it's okay, Sonny. If you don't want to post it, it's all good. Don't force yourself. It's also just me. I haven't had the time because it's like once I end stream, that's it. Now I'm like trying to be a little bit more active on the Discord, or it's like I'm trying to catch up a little bit more. But like off stream, I'm doing other hobbies, so it is kind of hard. I'll wait for the upload then. Yeah, off stream, it's kind of hard because I'm just doing other stuff. Could you please read my message posted in the Volume 2 ending video? Oh yeah, you did post that earlier, Nightshade. Don't worry, I didn't miss your message. I'll do that. I will respond today. I got you. I'll respond before I go to bed today. I got you, brother. If not, I'll read it on stream next time we go live. Probably tomorrow. That being said, I'm going to let all you lovely people go. And we should potentially see you guys tomorrow for more Shadow Slave. And also thank you. There's like 50 of you guys just turned up like out of nowhere when I went live. Thank you all. It means a lot. As always, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you guys all soon. Love you all. Peace! And have an amazing day. Hopefully audio was kind of good. Nightshade getting ignored is a canon event. It is not a canon event. Is this your regular streaming time? No, regular streaming time would have ended like 2 hours ago. I just streamed a lot later today. Yeah. I actually started stream around the time I would end stream, if that helps. But either way, love you all. See you guys soon. Peace. Bye, Sir Easy. Bye. Bye, Alma. Bye, Get Out. Bye, Nightshade. Bye, Sunny. And bye, everybody I haven't mentioned. Thank you to our new beautiful mod. Thank you to everybody. Love you all. Peace. Have an amazing day. Later, guys. Good night. Or good morning, wherever you live.